guys, welcome to another edition of the Kansas Flamingo Chef, and I am Bill, the Kansas Flamingo Chef. I've got my glass of Chardonnay, my iced tea, and this episode's meal. This is balsamic chicken with beans and potatoes. Stand by and let me show you how to do it, and I promise you it's really easy and amazing. A few other ingredients you're absolutely going to have. Butter. I prefer garlic butter. You've heard me talk about it before if you've watched any of my videos. This is Chef Chamois garlic butter with Parmesan cheese and basil. It is absolutely amazing, and you can get it at Sam's Club. No, they are not a sponsor. You also need some white wine. Honestly, it doesn't matter what kind, but don't use an overly sweet wine. You can use a Chardonnay, a Sauvignon Blanc, a Chenin Blanc. You could even get away with a Chablis, but don't use a Riesling or a Moscato. That's going to be way too much sugar. We need some Cavender's Greek seasoning. If you don't like Cavender's Greek seasoning, my first question is what's wrong with you? But we are going to need some of this or some other kind of Italian or Greek seasoning. Very important, it's not balsamic chicken if it doesn't have balsamic vinegar. Get a good balsamic vinegar. Don't go cheap. Don't get the $1.29 stuff. Get some that says it's aged in oak. It will be much better. And last but not least in this short list of others, some mushrooms. They don't even have to be fresh. You can use them out of a can. It wouldn't be balsamic chicken if it didn't have chicken in it, now would it? So I prefer chicken thighs, but chicken breasts work just fine. Just slice these like so, and the idea is to slice them fairly thin so they're like chicken strips, and then just cut these little strings of fat off of them. That's really all you got to do. Each chicken breast should yield 4 to 5 slices depending on how big a chicken breast you have. These are pretty small, so there's going to be about 4. Realistically, you want 1 chicken breast per person because that's going to yield about 4 to 5 slices. That's all you need. Now, if you got giants that eat like horses, fine. Cook 1.5 to 2 chicken breasts. But I'm telling you, 1 per person is plenty. Okay, so for this dish, I'm going to do something I don't do very often, and I'm going to start with some olive oil. I'm going to get my heat going on the pan here. We've got a deep saute pan and a lid to go with it shortly. One thing to have on hand while you're doing this, salt and pepper and water. Now, I absolutely will not use tap water in a dish because I hate all that chlorine that goes in there and how it changes the flavor. So I use a 0 water filter. So just a jug. You can use any filtered water or bottled water, but 0 water I think has the cleanest flavor. Okay, so we're going to get started. First thing I'm going to do, put a little olive oil in the pan. You don't need a lot. Let that warm up. And I'm going to start with the potatoes. So I'm going to pick out the little ones here and put those into the pan. And keep in mind, you don't need 10,000 potatoes, but you do want quite a few. So we're going to go a little crazy here. I just want the littlest ones. One reason is they cook faster. Another reason is they look better flavor than really big potatoes. Although the appearance is nice, the fact they cook faster is very important. I want a couple of the red potatoes in there just for color. We'll set that off to the side. We're going to let these potatoes get started. We want to roll them around in the pan and cover them in that olive oil. And then I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. I like fresh ground sea salt. You can use any kind of salt you like. I wouldn't recommend bath salt. And a little pepper, fresh ground pepper. I like pepper. Okay. You're going to hear those potatoes start to sizzle. It's going to happen pretty quick. There is no reason to sit around and just let them burn. But we do want to move them around a little bit and get that salt and pepper on them in the oil. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our onions and our peppers and let those saute in that olive oil as well. And because I like garlic and I like the flavor of butter, at this point I'm going to add some garlic butter. But if you would rather leave the garlic out, that's fine. And if you would rather just have the olive oil, well, I guess you can do whatever makes you happy. I like garlic and I like butter. Okay. You're going to hear that saute pretty quickly. And as it starts to saute, you want to make sure you move that around in that pan and let that butter break down, or if you don't have butter, the olive oil. But you definitely don't want to burn the peppers and onions, because if you do that, you're starting over. I don't expect everybody to toss things in the pan like you're in the restaurant. I get it. I do it because, quite frankly, I don't make as much of a mess when I toss it as I do with a spoon. But that's okay. We'll use the spoon. All right. When you can see those onions start to clarify, and if you don't know what that means, if you've never sauteed onions, as the onions start to cook, they start to turn clear. When you see them start to turn clear and start to get a little soft, and it takes 5 or 6 minutes, then we'll be ready for the next step. Also, I'm cooking this hotter than I would recommend most people cook it, mainly because I'm going to stand over it the whole time. But most people walk away from the dish, and if you're going to walk away from the dish, you need to turn the heat down. All right, so we want to liquefy our bacon into this. So for 2 reasons. One, I want that bacon flavor to soak into everything, especially the potatoes. But 2, I'm going to use the bacon fat to cook the beans. So we're just going to go ahead and throw this bacon in there. Move it around in the pan a little bit. This is a very traditional French style of cooking. Okay. As your bacon cooks down a little bit, and it will, we're going to need to add some of our flavor profile. So our flavor profile is actually the vinegar, the balsamic vinegar. We're not going to use a lot of this, maybe a teaspoon or so at the most. Okay, that's about a teaspoon. But it's going to bring out some of the nuances that we want to bring all the flavors together. If you've ever had pancetta, you're going to get kind of a pancetta smell right now, because as the bacon cooks with the vinegar, it starts to, your whole kitchen starts to smell like pancetta. Okay. All right, so at this point, I know this sounds weird, but the chicken is actually one of the last things we're going to put into the dish. So at this point, I'm going to let this cook down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and cover it. It needs to sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. Not a long time, just enough for those flavors to kind of mold together. And then we'll come back. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. I mean, you can tell by the clock, right? So I'm going to open this top. Oh, wow, does that smell good. Now you can see it's really cooked down in a mere 3 minutes covered. And the fat is starting to render, so it's starting to get a little thicker in here. And that's from that bacon fat. That's exactly what we want it to do. So we're going to go ahead and open our can of mushrooms. We're going to use a little bit of this liquid, but not right now. So I'm actually going to reserve it for a moment. So the easiest way to reserve liquid off of a can like this, take a colander and a measuring cup. There you go. It's fast and easy trick. Now the reason I want to do that liquid is awesome stuff. We don't want to throw that away. Okay, we're going to take the mushrooms and just throw them in there. And stir them into the beautiful mixture. Okay, I can already hear some of you saying, well, I don't like mushrooms. Then don't put them in here. Okay, it's that simple. You can adjust these things to fit your own flavor profiles, but I'm telling you right now, give it a try. You might be surprised how good it is with the mushrooms in it. All right, we're going to put the beans in here. And some Greek seasoning, quite a bit actually. For those of you that always want measurements, it's probably close to 2 teaspoons, maybe 3. We're going to add a little bit of white wine. We don't need very much at the moment, maybe a tablespoon. That's going to bring all of that together. You can hear it mixing together. Move this around. Don't want to burn anything. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just lay our chicken right on top of this, but here's the secret. We're going to pour this mushroom water over the chicken first. And let that mellow together. And just start setting these chicken strips on here. Now what's going to happen is we're going to close this up. And we're going to let the chicken actually cook by steam for a few minutes. Then we'll start to blend it all together. As we do that, we'll probably have to add a little bit of white wine, a little bit of salt and pepper. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and add the salt and pepper now. But the idea is to let these flavors blend. And keep in mind, if you're not using fresh green beans, you won't need as much salt. But when you're using fresh beans, they eat up a lot of salt. So you got to have some. And they take longer to cook. But the nice thing about using the fresh beans, you get a more solid flavor, and they're almost like a timer because they'll tell you when the chicken's done because the beans will be done. All right, go ahead and put the top on this. Turn the heat down a little bit. Leave it alone and set a timer for about 10 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
See you in 10 minutes. Okay, so it's been almost 10 minutes. In fact, I got a feeling she's going to yell at us here in a second. Alexa, how much time's left?
You have less than 10 seconds left on your 10-minute timer.
And there it is. Alexa, stop. Okay, so that tells you it's been 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and take the top off. Hopefully you watched in high speed as it was cooking, and you can see it's really cooked down. Now what you want to do is just start moving this around. There's not much liquid left, and you can see the beans are pretty soft, and I promise you this smells amazing. Okay. All right, so we're going to season this one more time. And to do that, we're going to take our Greek seasoning, add a little more of it. Okay, it's about another teaspoon or two, and we're going to give it just a splash of the balsamic, probably a half a teaspoon at best, and a little more pepper. Now at this point, if you want to add some herbs to this, you can. And if there's an herb you really like, I'm going to crush up a little dried parsley, or correction, dried basil, and put on here. So this is just basil that I grew in my kitchen, in my herb garden. At the moment it's empty because I just restarted with new herbs. But if you do grow your own herbs in your house or in an arrow garden, whatever you harvest, if you're not using it, dry it in the oven or just put it straight in the refrigerator. Put it in a bag like this, and you can use it for quite a few months. I'm just pulling the leaves apart. Throw that in there. A bay leaf would be fine too, but I like that fresh Thai basil. We're going to roll that in. Oh, that smells so good. Now you guys have watched in real time. You can see on the clock here how long this has taken. So I've only been cooking for like maybe less than a half an hour. And this will easily feed 3 or 4 people. I mean, quite frankly, 4 or 5, depending on how you divide it up and how much chicken you give each person. And if you put another chicken breast in here, you can extend it further. So this is a family meal that was very fast and easy to prepare. I'm going to leave it open and let the rest of that liquid cook down a little bit and turn my heat down to medium-low. It needs to simmer like this for about another 5 or 6 minutes. When I get ready to pull it off to serve it, when I plate it, I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese over the top just because it makes it look good and I like the flavor. And I actually am going to throw a little bit in there right now just to mellow some of that flavor in. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes when we plate this. When it comes to plating a dish like this, you really can do it just about any way you want. If you want to use a plate, pasta bowl, whatever trips your trigger, I guess. Because it really doesn't need anything else with it unless you want to serve some bread. It already has meat, it already has vegetables, it already has a starch, and it's got 3 colors. That's all you need on the plate. So I'm just going to put it in a pasta bowl. And I'm here by myself, so the 3 pieces of chicken rules going out the window. What I do, I make sure I get mushrooms and bacon. All right, spread a little Parmesan on top of that. And there you go, kids. Bon appetit. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. It is very important. Eat fabulous. Give me an idea for something you'd like to see me cook, and I'll see you next time.